Hi, I'm Jenna.
Hi, I'm Leah.
And we're the Uncensored Sisters. Follow along as we figure out what the hell we're doing. Okay, what's up?
What's up, wonderful humans? Welcome back to Uncensored Sisters. It's episode 5. What's good? We made it, y'all. I feel like episode 5 is like, you're a podcaster, you know?
We're in it.
Like, I have done this every week for 5 weeks.
I know. It feels like a real commitment. Like, I keep thinking, like, before, I would call you all the time, and afterward, we just, like, 3 times a week, I'd be like, God, we need to start that podcast. That was so good.
I know.
Now, I'm like, oh my God, okay, put the kids to bed. Let me get a cocktail. I gotta go do, I'm calling Leah.
I know, like, I think it's fun, too, though, because we're, like, kind of planning our little FaceTime dates. But then we'll have, like, mini ones where we're like, hey, do we need to do this for the podcast?
Now when I FaceTime you, I'm like, hey, just a quick question. Like, you don't need to have, like, a 4-hour conversation. I just have a quick question.
Last week's episode was so fun with Jessie. I'm so glad that she was, like, so down also, like, to do it.
Bless her. She was the best. She was like, I was a struggle at the beginning. I had some technical difficulties. I had my child with me. You probably heard a few little cries in the background, but she stuck it out, and she was so great. It was actually really fun because we've all known each other for so long, and it was kind of fun to do something.
It was fun, too, because, like, I feel like now that I'm older, like, I've kind of became friends with Jessie in my own way. And so now it was like, I wasn't just like the little sister, like hanging out with Jenna and Jessie. It was like, we were just friends. And I was like, oh, I'm part of the group.
Oh, yeah. No, you guys totally, like, you were talking for a few times about, like, your, like, readings and, like, stuff that you've just done, like, without me. That was, like, totally cool to see, too.
It's cool. Like, I want to post this picture, actually. Literally, there's a photo of me and Jessie at, like, Lincoln Park after a track meet. And I'm, like, holding up ribbons, and she's, like, smiling with me.
Oh, my gosh. I know what was so funny was literally after we recorded, something came up on, like, one of my social medias. I don't remember, but it was, like, an old picture, like an old collage. Remember when we used to do collages and post those?
Yep.
Of, like, Jessie and I's evolution. It was, like, really little, then, like, really awkward, where I was apparently very tall, much taller than her. I was very tall. And I was like, we've been the same height for forever. When was I taller than you? And we were very awkward looking. And then there was one where we're, like, in the pool. We look like just wet little rats. And then there's one where we're, like, in high school at a party. Like, there's definitely a red Solo cup in the pic. And we have, like, big poofy hair. But we're, like... I'm like, look how cute we are. And we've been together. We've been through so much. She's the best. She was always just, like, had her answers ready, like, for our questions.
Phenomenal. Like, I felt like I didn't even... Like, I was just like, it's your... Like, you go. Like, I'm listening to you at this point. Like, I don't know.
And then when I, like, had some questions, too, like, about my own, like, chart, I was like, do I need to pay for this? Should I, like...
It's a lot of energy to talk about it, but then also to, like, feel other people's, like, I mean, I don't know how the terminology, but, like, she's literally, like, talking to your guides and stuff, you know, like, that's so much energy.
It's just draining for her. I definitely feel like that's why she was talking about, too, like, placing those boundaries and vetting people, because she was like, I need a break, I don't know what's going on. And then we just kind of, like, were talking it out and was like, you're taking on so many other people's energies that it was a lot for her to take in. I'm like, you need to. And then she's like, yeah, well, I need to work on boundaries because it's a lot for me to take in. So
yeah, well, I think that kind of feeds really good into, like, what we want to talk about today, which is mental health. And that is such a broad topic, and it can be different for everybody, but we just, like, wanted to share our experiences and maybe, you know, just, like, have a
conversation about it.
Yeah, have a conversation. And, you know, I think for me, a lot of times, like, it was hard to relate to people because I didn't know that other people struggled with mental health issues. And so then I would be really closed off about it.
Right.
And then, but, like, also, once you just start talking about it, it's, like, I mean, it's sad, but, like, majority of people really struggle with it at some point in their life.
Really struggle, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
But, like, kind of talking about Jessie, like, going, you know, taking so much of other people's stuff and, like, putting it onto her. So I struggle really bad with my anxiety. It's gotten a lot better, don't get me wrong, but, like, there was a period of time in, like, June, I want to say it was, where it was, like, I was taking on, like, I felt like the world was, like, on my shoulders and I couldn't do anything about it, and it was, like, really, really affecting me. And so, like, even setting boundaries, like, within yourself to be like, I'm not gonna, like, wake up and look at my phone, because that's immediately setting my day to just be, like, anxiety filled, because I'm just so consumed with, like, whatever's going on in the world or with this person or whatever, where, like, I just need to be concerned with myself.
Right. Yeah,
You know?
it's totally, that's kind of how anxiety has been for me too. It's a lot of outside pressure and internal pressure too, like, kind of, I don't know, your upbringing and things like that are placed on you, and so you grow up to think that you need to be someone, and then if you're not living up to that, it's definitely anxiety inducing.
Yeah. I feel like I kind of remember when you were, like, I feel like maybe you might struggle with it now a little bit, but when it was, like, worse, or I don't know how you would describe it, like, when was that, like, period of your time, and, like, what period of your life? When was that period of your life, and, like, what was, like, contributing factors to it, and maybe, like, what were your coping mechanisms, because that is another thing that's so different for everybody.
Yeah. I think mine really started in high school. It's so funny because I remember, like, specifically the time when I got really concerned with what my body was looking like. And I was a junior in high school, so that was probably, like, really late for, like, a lot of girls, I feel like. But for me, I was a junior in high school, and it was, like, the summer, and I was going to house sit for one of my old teachers who lived in town. But I just remember these pants that I wanted to wear were, like, a size 2 or something, and my butt was way too big, and I hadn't worn them in a while, but I wanted to wear them, and I was like, I have to wear these. And then I just remember, like, that's when I started getting anxiety about, like, my body, and then it just evolved into, like, anxiety about everything else, and I think, yeah, just high school is, like, totally where it started, and it was definitely hard. I remember also telling Mom, like, I think I have anxiety, like, I just, like, I didn't know how to explain it, and I don't think, I don't even know the terminology I use, but I was like, I just don't feel right, like, something is wrong, and it would be with simple things would set me off, like, what should I wear, or where are we going? I remember always having it before, like, me and my girlfriends would go to a party, and so I would make us sit in the car. I'm like, don't leave my house yet, like, let's just sit in the car, like, I need to do something and just relax myself, like, I am so anxious. But also, I was partying a lot, and that was not a good coping mechanism, but that's probably why I feel like I partied a lot, because I was trying to fit in and trying to do a lot, and I was also, you know, playing soccer 24/7, so it was...
You, like, needed an escape a little bit.
Yeah, and, but yeah, it definitely started in high school for me. How about you?
I think, I don't remember a specific time in high school, but I think I, like, struggled with it. I just never knew how to, like, you know, I just always thought I was stressed out. And then it was my sophomore year of college, and this is kind of irrelevant, but I'm going to put it in here anyways. I was a vegetarian at the time. And
at sophomore in college you were?
Mm-hmm. It was the year you went vegan, and me and Christy were like, we're going to challenge ourselves and go vegetarian for 6 months.
Oh, wait, a sophomore in college?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant high school. I'm like, huh? know that.
No, yeah. So sophomore year of college, I decided to go vegetarian, and that's gonna fit into the story. Just bear with me. But I remember I was at weightlifting. I was like at a weightlifting practice, and we had to do pull-ups, and I like got to the bar and I looked up and I just like cried, and I like looked at my trainer and I was like I can't be here, like I don't know what's happening, but like that just set me off, and I don't feel strong. I don't feel like I'm putting enough protein in my body, because the other thing was, like, I was a vegetarian, but I wasn't like a healthy vegetarian for being a collegiate athlete. Like, I was like, I'm gonna have a bag of Cheetos for dinner because I don't know what else to eat besides chicken.
Right. Yeah.
And so then, like, when you're a collegiate athlete, like, obviously when that happens, they're like, we need to figure out what's going on. And so they made me see a nutritionist, and they were like, when you stop taking stuff out of your diet, your, like, the neurons in your brain, like, function differently because you're, like, missing that thing that it's really used to. And so you take out meat, and it's like, it doesn't know how to function almost. And so that was, like, the very first moment that was the first panic attack I ever had. And I felt like such a wimp because I was like, the thing was, like, I was on my third rep of pull-ups. So I had already done them. I was literally in the middle of the workout, and I just looked at it and I was like, I can't even lift my arms up to do it. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm crying. Now I look like a fool, and that's giving me anxiety. And oh my God, everyone's staring at me. Like,
yeah, it's a lot of, like, I feel like when you're in the moment of having anxiety, if there's other people around, whether they're being helpful or not, that builds. That totally builds, because you're just like, oh, everyone's looking at me, like they know, or something. It's almost like your insides are coming out, like they know what's going on in my head, and I've been trying to keep this in my head, and now it's out, and now they're trying to help me, but now I'm embarrassed, and it's hard.
Yes. So that was like the very first time I didn't, and even then I wasn't like, I have anxiety, and I didn't see anybody about it. I was just like, I just like freaked out for a second. But now that I know kind of like how I am, I know that was like a really big trigger for me for some odd reason.
Right. I remember you telling me about that, and you didn't explain it as like I had a panic attack. You were like, I can't do that anymore, because that like freaked me out. But yeah, totally crazy.
Yeah. Did yours like carry on throughout like college? Like, do you remember it kind of like weeding itself out, or do you still struggle with it, or like what happened after, like, you know, body image? I mean, maybe you still have that anxiety, I don't know.
Right. It definitely carried on through college, but I also continued to party a lot, so I think that was just my coping mechanism, and it was probably my coping mechanism for a lot of things, but it also that was anxiety inducing. Like, I just remember one time I was going out with my girlfriends, and there was a guy that was coming out with us, and the guy was kind of like a matchup for me. They were like, oh, Jenna, you'll be great, you know, whatever. Well, I had an anxiety attack getting ready, and he happened to already be at our house. And I was just, like, in my room crying. I was like, I don't know I can't be out there. There's just, and it still sounds so silly to me for some reason, but I'm like, that now as I've grown up a little bit, I'm like, those things, making those, little things set me off after it's been building for a while, and especially, like, decision making, because myself, I take time to make decisions, and even today we've been moving, and I could feel myself having that decision fatigue where I'm like, I know that I'm making like rash decisions because I don't have like that. I don't have the energy. My brain is
the
like
capacity to like even make a decision. Like, you're just doing it to do it.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it is when I have anxiety, or when I have like an anxiety attack, where it's just like it's happening and I just cry and I just sit there. But yeah, so that was happening, and I then got like more anxious because he was waiting, and then he came in the room. Oh, he came in the room.
No,
He's like, it's
honey.
okay. It's okay. And I was like, okay. Like, I don't really even know you. We're not even on like a real date. We're just all going out as friends. So you should probably leave. Like, and then at that point I was like, I don't want to go out anymore. You know, I was like, I just obviously need to stay home. I'm not feeling well. And he was like, no, it's okay. You're going to have fun. And it was miserable, but I did not go out. But it took a while for that guy to leave.
That's crazy. And I don't want this story just to be like us talking about our panic attacks.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you another story about a panic attack. I didn't know that about like...
Yeah, I don't think I haven't told anyone that besides everyone that was there.
When I was a freshman in college, so long story short, I went through like a really emotionally laboring relationship in high school that really like triggered me in a lot of my relationships till today. But for some reason from that relationship, like I just hate flowers. Like they just don't feel comforting to me in any way. I'm like, it's weird. Do not bring me flowers. Like, no, I'm not a fan. So I was dating this guy and we're like hanging out. It's the day before my birthday. I'm like going to a semi-formal. And he's like...
This is in college?
Yeah. He's like, what do you want for your birthday tomorrow? I'm like, I don't want anything, number one, but like, do not buy me flowers. Like, seriously don't. And I think he took it as like, oh, like maybe you're hinting as like you want flowers. And he shows up the next day to my dorm where me and my friends are all getting ready. I'm in the other, like, me and my friends would like switch dorms, like get ready because we're like borrowing each other's clothes and stuff. And so he knocks on my door and I'm not there. So then he comes to the room I'm in. And he hands me a bouquet of roses. And I just looked at him and I was like, I told you not to buy me flowers. And he just looked at me and I was like, it's okay. Like, thank you so much. I'm going to see you out later. And he leaves. And I sat on the floor and I cried. And I was like, I told him not to buy me flowers. Like, I hate them. And then he also bought me, like, Sour Patch Kids, and my friends were, like, eating them. Like, why don't you like flowers? I'm like, those are my Sour Patch Kids.
Like, I need those.
But, yeah, like...
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. But, yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting, too, because I feel like I used to get that a lot. And it's probably actually because I just don't go out anymore. And I'm not, like, a big partier, but I can feel myself, and I think it starts with it. I get overwhelmed.
Yes, that's how I used to describe how I would feel. I'm just like, I like just feel like all the weight is on my shoulders, and I'm just like I can't breathe.
So I can feel myself getting overwhelmed with the things now, and so then I like change my like thought. Like today I was very overwhelmed with like doing all the kitchen stuff. And so I just said, okay, I'm going to do that tomorrow. And I left the room and I was like, okay, I got to do something else. So I feel it coming on. I mean, and not always, like I definitely will, it'll sneak up on me and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I need a minute. And I'm totally the type of person that's like, I need to be alone. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want someone to give me a hug. I don't need that right now. I need to be left alone so I can process everything. And then I'll come out and be like, okay, so this is how I was feeling and this is what I need now.
Yeah. I think that's so good, though, because I think, like, a lot of times when people do struggle with things like this, like, it's easy to just kind of, like, suppress it. And maybe it's not easy, but, like, to me, before I really understood how to, like, deal with it, I just would suppress everything, and then I would have this massive blowout, and everyone would be like, why are you freaking out? And I'm like, I'm just so overwhelmed by my life, and like, this happened 4 months ago, but I never talked about it, and now it's coming out. Like,
yes, yeah.
You know? So it's good to like really sit in the feeling and like kind of not let yourself feel anxious, but just like really figure out why you're feeling that way or like what is making you feel that way.
And I think too, because mine was probably induced by like going out and like partying a lot, it's easier for me now because that's not a part of my life. Like and like maybe once every 2 years, maybe. So I feel like I'm lucky there, and that's the only reason why I've had no like crazy blowouts or anything like that, and I don't feel as anxious as I do or as I used to, because I do feel like I can catch on to it of like, okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable, I'm feeling uneasy, and so I just switch my like thought process. But I've also like went down really hippie ways, and so I was listening to like Abraham Hicks and a lot of different people that were just like, you need to go where the flow is, like try to stay in the flow, try to be happy. And I think that helped me, just like switching my mindset if I could catch it early. But obviously it catches up to me sometimes and I still freak out. But
yeah. How did like, I mean, I know your like main thing was kind of like getting ready and just like random like maybe like body issue or body image, but like did that ever change for you, or how did you maybe accept your body? Because I think the body, I mean, I get body image, but the body is so fucking incredible.
yes.
We can talk about it later, but I want to know your answer.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So actually, it's very weird, but after I had my first baby, I went vegan. And I was like super crazy, and I was trying to like make all of my family go vegan. I'm like, you guys don't know. But that was just my experience. I realize that now. And that's actually done so much good for me to like go through something that I was super passionate about, to realize that I can't change people. After that, then I just viewed food. Oh, that was hard.
Family Feud over here.
It's been a long day.
Feud.
I viewed food differently, because then I was just seeing it as, I don't know, something to like nurture my body. And I also saw myself differently, because the food when you are like in that vegan community, they keep saying like, you are what you eat. So like, do you want to be a cow or do you want to be a squash? I guess, I mean, I don't know which one's better, but it just was like, you are what you eat. So like, do you want to be healthy, you know, and live a long life? And like, especially because I just had a kid, it was like, I want to be here for a long time. I want to see what my kid's going to do. I want to grow up with him. I want to be able to play with him. And so that was like a big thing. I think I remember being like, going vegan was not just for like the animals or so I could lose weight or whatever, but it totally changed the way I viewed my body. And honestly, ever since then, like I'm not even vegan anymore. My body image, I'm like, dude, whatever I am right now, no bra, like have a little mom pooch, I just think it's beautiful. Like it's the weirdest thing. And maybe just because now I've had 2 children and I'm just like, whoa, I can do anything.
Your body, I think I shared this actually to Uncensored Sisters once, just on our story, but literally like your body wakes up and like fights for your survival every single day. And when you kind of disregard social aspects, disregard like anything that you think you need to hold your body to, the way it is right now, and like if you made it through today, your body literally like kept you alive. That's actually crazy that happens.
It's amazing. And honestly, that like it takes you places, it lets you do things. You have a mind that lets you be creative or lets you work really hard on the computer, whatever you're doing. Like, it's amazing what it can do. So also, like, knowing that, for me, it made me want to treat my body well.
Your body loves you so much, and, like, you should really love it back with, like, nourishing it with food or maybe, like, don't maybe overindulge like I do sometimes, but, like, just recognizing that, like, it's okay to, like, fuel your body because it's helping you survive, and that's how you're helping it survive. You know what I mean?
Yes. There's a book that's called The Master of Love. It's, I think, a part of the agreements, the 5 or the 7 agreements, one of those. But it's a part of that book, like sequel or series. And in this book, it was like it talks about like your body and like loving yourself. And it says like your cells literally wake up every day and they like praise you like you are God. So the least you can do is like give them some water.
Yeah, I love that.
Like they literally think that you are God. So you should treat yourself as you are a god or a goddess, you know? Just like treating yourself with love.
I mean, I don't know if you're like self-diagnosed or whatever, because I think maybe now too with, I mean, maybe social media and whatnot, like I think everybody probably has a little bit of anxiety, but has felt it. And one thing that always used to like irk me when I would tell people, like when I was like I was like clinically diagnosed last February, maybe March, I think it was February, and I would like kind of tell people, like maybe my closer friends, I'd be like, I'm just feeling a little anxious today, and it would irk me, and they'd be like, well, maybe you're just stressed. And like, to me, and maybe it's different for other people, but I'm like, it's one thing when I'm stressed out about a 10-page paper that I haven't started. It's another thing when I like cannot get out of my bed. Like, those to me are like totally different things. And so like, if you like are feeling like you're not just stressed out, like maybe you just like talk to your friends about it and just like have a conversation, because then before I went and saw someone, I would just be like, you're right, I'm stressed out. But in my head, I'd be like, I don't really feel stressed out, but like I probably am stressed out.
Right. Or maybe reach out to someone that you know has voiced that they have anxiety, because they might be able to help you, even if they're not, they weren't like diagnosed, but they could say like, those are definitely what I feel, and then you just don't feel so alone in it too, which helps. So you started having anxiety when you were in high school as well?
Yeah, I think I had it, but I was like diagnosed in February. I think it's like really kind of sad to say, but if I never went through that like really hard time of randomly getting anxious and being like, what is happening? And like, I also went and saw a therapist, which recommend for anybody, even if you don't struggle with mental health. Therapy is therapeutic.
Seriously.
It's awesome.
10 out of 10.
Yeah. But I really recognized a lot of like my triggers, and I feel like if I didn't do that, I would still kind of be in a place of like, I don't know how to deal with this, or I don't know how to like kind of calm myself down, because it would like put me into like a like vegetative state. Like I literally would not leave my room, and I physically like couldn't get out of my bed because I was just like so overwhelmed and so anxious. And then that also comes with like setting boundaries for when those triggers happen. So like a lot of my anxiety is like not feeling validated because of whatever reasons, like for just feeling anxious and people being like, you're stressed out. It's like, you are invalidating me, and that is not okay. Like, even just being, and that's hard to like tell people, but like I'm at a place now where I'm like, nope, you're not allowed to talk to me like that. Like, you are invalidating me, and that's not okay, because then that's going to send me into a spiral that you probably don't want to be around. So, but like, it's almost like you kind of have to go through the struggle to learn from the struggle, and like really understand, and you learn so much about yourself, and you grow so much. Oh my God.
Yeah, seriously. That's another thing I wanted to say too, was when you're feeling really down. I mean, I've never been like super depressed where I like wanted to hurt myself or someone else, but I feel like emotions are just physical feelings in your body. And when you're feeling those, that's not you. They're just emotions. And they come and they go. Like, have you ever been around a child? Like, literally, they fall. They cry because it hurt. And they're upset or they're embarrassed. And then literally, they're fine. Because they're letting those emotions flow through them like we should. But we now have, like, the mental capacity to know, like, everyone else is watching, or I shouldn't have done that, and this is what I should do, and all of these different things. But, like, really just letting yourself feel like you're sad, you're angry, you're anxious, just sitting with it for a little bit, letting it flow through you, and then taking a deep breath and moving on. Like, that's the best way, I feel like, to kind of start and becoming aware. Becoming aware of it helps you move through it. Like, I'm angry, or I'm sad, or I'm anxious. You putting a label to your feelings helps them move through you, and then you can move on. But you just kind of have to let it take over for a little bit.
And, like, for anybody who is struggling out there with, like, mental health in any capacity, right around a year ago exactly, I was probably at the lowest of lows in my life, and it was not looking good for me. That's how I felt. And I just want to let it be known that, holy shit, it gets better. Like, it gets better, it gets better, it gets better, and it will always get better, because because I'm not saying, like, I still get anxious and I still get, like, in kind of depressive episodes, and I'll go through the mental health thing, but, like, because I was at a low, like, I know that I'm not there anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, like, super high, but I'm definitely not where I was a year ago. And that's, like, if that's any encouragement at all, like, it gets better.
Yes, seriously. And you can learn so much about yourself, and you can move forward.
Because I was in such a, like, bad state of mind, and I also was alone, so that was, like, I literally, I mean, we've mentioned this before, but I was in New Zealand last year this time, and and that's what, like, sucked, and that's what, like, a lot of times put me down so much, because I was like, you're living in New Zealand, like, why are you so depressed? But, like, that was totally valid and, like, okay for me to feel that way. And I still really enjoyed New Zealand and whatever, but, like, I got to a really low place, and now I know, like, when I feel myself, like, kind of going back into those modes, or, like, to that feeling, I know so much more about myself because I was at that spot that I can dig my way back out.
Yeah.
And like, if you are at that stage in your life and you're like, I feel like I am at the lowest of lows, that's the perfect time to get to know yourself, because it's gonna teach you, like, how you cope, what makes you feel good, what doesn't make you feel good. We talked about this with Jessie, like, your body will physically respond when something feels good. So really listen to your intuition and be like, no, like, I feel on fire, or I feel like this when this happens, and then when this happens, I feel really low and I feel like I want to throw up. Like, that's how I feel a lot when I get in those modes. So, like, literally listen to your body. It's gonna teach you, like, literally how you feel and how to, like deal with all of it. Because a lot of times, I think anxiety, when I, like, was first kind of struggling with it, I was like, I'm just, like, on a spectrum, and I keep, like, going back and forth. Like, I feel good, okay, but, like, now I'm sad, and now I'm back, and I don't know what's happening. But, like, literally just, like, listen to your, like, physical body, and you'll be like, no, I'm here. And then sit in that for a moment, and then figure out how you're gonna either stay there or get out of it.
Right. Yeah, definitely listening and tuning into your body. Is that what you did to get out when the first time you were, like, at your lowest? Or what were some of the things you did to get out? Because I feel like your first time being so low is terrifying and does feel like you're trapped and you can't get out.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that, like, I felt really low and I was like, I'm getting out of it, because it definitely wasn't like that. Like, I was in a low place for a long time. I finally was just kind of like, I don't want to feel like this anymore. Like, I've let myself sulk in this for months and I'm fucking over it. And so, kind of like, I found a lot of therapy in like journaling and in like meditation, because I felt like a lot of it came from I was alone, and then I would go on my phone and just see all my friends doing all this fun stuff, and I would just be like, I'm literally across the world. It's like 18-hour time difference. I'm like, none of these people are even up. And so I would like, I wrote down a list of like all the things I wanted to do in New Zealand. And then I wrote down a list of like what made me feel really good in college. And that a lot was like community and just like having interaction with someone. I think we mentioned this on our soccer episode, but like I went from being in this tight-knit community at school, and then I was like 18 hours ahead of everybody by myself. And so I had a lot of time to like sit in my thoughts and like get wrapped into it, and it was just like not for me. And as much as it isn't for me, like I also learned how to just be by myself. So like just like list it out, like what makes you feel good and what makes you not feel good, and try to do things just like one thing every day.
I love that. And that's why they say like visualization is so important, because visualize yourself doing something or becoming the person you want to be, because your mind, if you think that you're like, I don't know, I feel like I've heard like millionaire people say this. It's like they don't know that you're not a millionaire. They don't know that you're not a successful CEO, or you're not, you know, a teacher or whatever you want to be. It doesn't know. So when you think like one, or start believing that you are one, start believing those thoughts that you are good and you are good at what you do, or you're wealthy, or you're adventurous, or whatever, then you will become that. So just like you are what you eat, you become what you think. Yeah. So think those good thoughts and like think about what you want to do, or think about, if you're in a hard place, how it will be when you're out. Mm-hmm. And all of those fun things, just like Leah did, about all the fun things you're going to do in New Zealand when you feel better. And then you slowly started to check those off your list.
Yeah, like one of the first things on my list was like, I love to drive because I like to be in control. But like that was a coping mechanism that I used in college that I never considered a coping mechanism, because I didn't know I was dealing with things. And I just like to go on drives. It like clears my mind. I like to listen to music. And in New Zealand, I didn't have a car. And I was not having it with the no car situation. So I literally saved up money and I bought a car. It was a piece of crap, but it worked. And it let me, like, go explore things that I wanted to go do. Like, it was a saving grace in that moment. But, like, I literally wrote down on my list, like, I want to have a car. And, like, and then it made it, like, motivating for me. Like, I knew I needed more money. So I got another job. And I made a lot of friends. And, like, it, like, that one little thing led me to so many other things that, like, got me out of the rut of, like, being at my low.
Yeah. Just like one foot in front of the other.
It's really easy to put guilt on yourself that nobody else has. And that's something that I deal with even right now in my life, like, which I'm working on, because I can, like, I know that I do that. I think, like, first of all, realizing that is a step in, like, the right direction. But also, like, we live in a world where it's all fake. Literally everything you see is fake. Like, Instagram is just highlights of people. Like, you don't actually know them unless you know them and you know that, like, they're probably just putting highlights on their Instagram story or whatever it is. And so, like, if, like, that was a big thing for me in New Zealand, because I was like, all my friends are hanging out and I'm in New Zealand, poor me. But, like, I would literally get in that moment, like, poor me, I'm by myself. And so, like, putting that away is so, so necessary. and even just putting away like all these societal pressures without social media. Like, you don't have to be at a certain place in your life at any time because it's your life and you're on your own timeline. Like, there's not a book that everybody is following along to life. Like, everybody's just everywhere.
And even if they say that they did it to whatever their standards are, I'm sure if you dug a little bit, or, you know, if they would actually tell the truth, that they didn't, because there's many people that seem like they have it all together and will tell you that you are bad for not having it all together, but they don't have it all together either. So it's called scroll and anxiety for a reason too.
Yeah, and another thing I just want to point out before we wrap up here, people are way more focused on themselves than they are on you. So focus on yourself.
Yep. Focus on you, boo. You do you.
You do you. Write down a list of things that physically make you happy and that don't. And go do, if you're like in a low place right now, go do that little thing that makes you happy, because I bet you it's going to lead you to another path that's going to make you even happier.
Yep. If you listen to Esther Hicks, have you listened to them, Leah?
Mm-mm.
Okay, look that up tonight. It's the craziest thing. It's this lady that like, her name is Esther, but when she talks, she does like these sermons. She like is acting like she's Abraham.
Oh.
Not Abraham Lincoln, but like it's just like the spirit Abraham. So she talks about Abraham and she's like, I'm Abraham Hicks. And she tells you, or he tells you, like, to stay in the flow. So be happy and go towards things that make you happy. And like that's how to kind of like navigate your life. So just a quick little blurb about that, but I really liked all of the things that they had to say.
I feel like I could go like 4 more hours on this topic because it's so broad, and like we just kind of shared a little bit of like our experience with it, and it's not even our whole experience because I think we both struggle with it in other ways. But I think the challenge this week is, even if you're not feeling down and you're not feeling low, like write a list. Like, I'm not kidding. I don't know about y'all, but I am a list person. Every day I write down a to-do list because when I check it off, I'm like, oh my God, like I accomplished something today or whatever. So like maybe write a to-do list, write a list of like things that physically make you happy, write a list of things that don't make you happy, or maybe not even happy, like just make you feel good.
That you're like grateful for, like that energy of trying to be grateful. Like when you're thinking about things that you're grateful for, then you start to become grateful.
I wanted to be a Tumblr girl so bad in high school, so bad. I fought a lot of journaling people in high school on Tumblr, but like it'd be good things, and they would write just like 3 good things that happened in their day. And so I started doing it, and then when I started to really struggle and like really understand that I was struggling with anxiety, I started to do that, and I was like, whoa, like even though I had a shit day, 3 good, like I woke up, I'm gonna put that down. I ate, I'm gonna put that down.
The simplest things can still be on that list, but it's it's like the act of doing it and trying to put yourself in that state of mind is what helps you put one foot in front of the other every day.
And then a rec was probably Esther Hicks. Is that who you said?
Yeah, it's Esther and Abraham Hicks. I don't know. Just look up Esther Hicks or Abraham Hicks and learn about them. It's kind of like crazy woo-woo, but it's it's also super interesting, and it helps. There's a lot of things on there about every topic, like literally just Google or YouTube, but you could do Esther Hicks like sleeping to help you sleep if you have insomnia, or Esther Hicks anxiety.
I recommend that if you are feeling any type of way, to just tell somebody about it, because it's more likely than not that they're going to relate to you, or that they could maybe like point you into a direction of like talking about it, because speaking this out and like getting it out of your head is therapeutic. So tell somebody about it. In the description on this episode, there are a bunch of hotlines in case you're ever feeling really low and that you, might do something to yourself or to someone else. We have all of those numbers in there. And also reach out to us if you're feeling, like you don't know who to talk to. Our DMs are open.
Definitely let us know.
But thanks so much for listening.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
I can never end these. I don't know. I'm not even going to try.
We'll see you next week, guys. Thanks so much.